What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the iPhone 13 and this mid 2024 here. This is a spectacular phone, and if you can buy this phone, I definitely highly recommend it. I think it's one of the best budget iPhones that you can buy this year, and the price has come down pretty well on this phone. You can see you can find it for $339 in the used refurbished marketplace, and then I think for very good condition you can find it for $360 if you want it certified refurbished. So yeah, it's an excellent phone in the used refurbished marketplace here. Alright, so hardware wise, the 13's design actually still looks really good and still really modern, even compared to the newer iPhones here. It does not look old at all. So even the cameras still really look really good here in 2024. Of course, it's IP68 dust and water resistant. We got a glass and metal design, and it still looks fantastic. Still excellent design on here. I think probably the only thing that's probably has age as far as design is probably Apple's notch up here on the front, but that's pretty much it. Overall, holding the phone is pretty nice still. It is a little bit kind of sharp, but you know, it's still somewhat comfortable because it is a little bit of a smaller phone, especially for 2024 being at 6.1 inches. So yeah, overall hardware wise, it still looks really good. Now let's talk about the display on here. So like I said, the notch is probably the only thing that would make this a little bit dated looking, and then also I think the bezels are actually respectable on here. They're pretty decent. Now the thing about using these older iPhones is that you notice, especially with me using a lot of older Android devices, this phone does not have any type of high refresh rate. It's just a 60 hertz display. So, and what's interesting is this, I'm hearing that Apple is not going to put the 120 hertz in the iPhone 16, because remember the iPhone 15 does not have the 120 hertz at all, which I think is absolutely insane for a 2024 25 flagship. Now the 13, it still looks great and everything, and it is a very smooth panel for a 60 hertz panel, but you can definitely tell the difference if you use these 120 hertz panels a lot. But yeah, the overall display is still really nice. It's Super Retina XDR OLED, HDR10. It gets 1200 nits peak brightness, so it does get fairly bright outdoors as well too. So it's not, you can still look at it in direct sunlight. You also do have 460 for the PPI, so again, it's pretty sharp as well too, as far as looking at the text and everything. But yeah, that's the only thing that kind of bothers me about these older iPhones. If they do decide to not put that in there, I think that's really weird on Apple's part to not do that. Alright, so one of the best things about these older iPhones, and even if you benchmark these things, they perform extremely well, guys. These phones are really fast. So for a game like PUBG, now our best settings of course are going to be HDR Extreme. Now these phones again could do probably these phones could easily do the 90 frames and stuff like that, but again 60 hertz panel kind of limited. But yeah, if you're a gamer, 100% you can game on this thing, no problem. There's no game that I've really been able to play and run into any type of issues with. Just been a really good experience here for the most part. So this has the Apple A15 chip, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. And it's just a very fast phone. It does a great job. I know a lot of people would say the 4 gigs of RAM, is kind of low, but with iOS, such great optimization, I never really had like applications closing out on me and stuff like that, so multitasking is pretty good on here as well too. So overall, I'm really impressed with the gaming performance, and I'm not getting any type of, or like this phone does get a little bit warm, but it's not anything too crazy. So like I said, the overall experience has been pretty good on the iPhone 13. I just haven't run into a lot of issues with performance on this phone. So yeah, so I do like gaming on here. And let's talk about the iOS situation here. So this phone should get updates for a pretty long time. So it launched with iOS 15. I think Apple's has a 6 year, so we're at 18, so we have a few more updates left. And I think this phone should get, plenty of updates, because I think the iPhone XS got iOS 18 as well too. So that's why I said this is one of the best older iPhones, because the lifespan is going to be pretty good on this phone as well too, if you're somebody who's worried about updates and stuff like that. Now, I really enjoy the speakers on here. They sound pretty decent. So these are pretty clean sounding speakers, really good quality as well too. And yeah, so I have no issues with the speaker quality on this phone here. Of course, you still have Face ID, which pretty much untouched. It still works exactly the same, so no issues there. Now, I do want to talk about the overall camera experience, because I think that's probably one of the most important things here with these older iPhones. Is a lot of people want to know about the cameras. And the cameras on the iPhone 13 are still pretty good for the most part. I think like the only thing that I kind of noticed with this phone, like in comparison to something like, its competitors, right? Like the Samsung Galaxy phones at that time, something like a S20, S21, S22, something like that. And yeah, so you are missing the telephoto lens on here. This only has, two cameras. So it's a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60, and then you also have a 12 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. It takes great photos still. I think the photos kind of speak for themselves, honestly. Very good detail, very good color. The ultra wide is very consistent with the main lens. Does a pretty decent job in low light scenarios as well too. Overall, I'm really happy with the iPhone 13's cameras. For the most part, video is also really solid on here as well too. Really enjoyed the video. I thought it was really clean, great dynamic range. Everything looked really good. So I'm a fan of the iPhone's video, especially on these older phones. I think they're very impressive. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think these cameras just look really good, guys. I wouldn't say anything negative about these cameras at this price point. I think excellent looking cameras. Now, lastly, let's talk about battery life. And a pro tip: if you buy off of eBay, or if you're able to get in contact with a seller, definitely ask about that battery health. And you can see right here, this phone has 100% battery health. Oh, I didn't know that. So whoever I got the battery from must have swapped it. But yeah, so you can, like, if you do get a battery that is, I would say, low 80s, like I'm talking about like 82, 81, or anything below, I would just take it to a shop and swap it. And this battery, 100% battery health, this phone does an excellent job in terms of a screen on time. And it's not like amazing battery life, but this phone can definitely get through a full day without having a charger, for sure. Now, if you're gaming and stuff like that, that's going to be different if you're gaming a lot. But just for casual use, just casually gaming, using your phone normally, yeah, the battery life is pretty decent on this phone. So the specs are: you have a 3,240 milliamp hour battery, 15-watt wireless MagSafe charging on here as well too. So you can, of course, use the MagSafe accessories on here, and then you also have your standard wireless charging as well. So overall, the iPhone 13, it's a great buy, especially if you live in the USA, where I know the price, is going to be around this price point of around, $340, $350, $360. I think that's a good deal if you can definitely afford it, because we have to look at your next alternative, which would be the iPhone 12. And let's see what that price point is. Yeah, 200, but oh no, that's mini. Yeah, 250. Yeah, so that's a $100 difference pretty much. So again, if you can save up that extra $100, I would get this. I know overseas is a way bigger price difference as well too. So we're gonna talk about that, and I'll lead you guys to some of the other videos I've done, iPhone 11, iPhone 12 videos that I recently did. Check those out. But yeah, definitely this is the best iPhone that you can get on a budget for sure.